Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. As the tones of Tiny Dancer fade away, it's time to introduce. You know, we had an executive in Great Britain who's still called Tony Danza. I can never think of him the same way after hearing that song. Fabulous. Hold me closer. Welcome back, everybody. It's GEC 2025. An honor to be your co-host. Thank you for choosing this session. I'm Ollie Barrett, and I'll be helping us get super connected, I hope. Will you raise your hand and say yes if this is your first GEC, please? Say yes. Amazing. This is Newbie Central. Fantastic. Welcome. And please raise your hand and say yes if you are returning to GEC. Hands up. Yes, welcome back. Thank you very much. Now, one opportunity we have over the next hour or so is to super connect amongst ourselves. So in the spirit of connecting the connectors globally in a fragmented world, why don't we all be upstanding, and why don't we move towards somebody, if you all stand up and move towards somebody you are fairly confident you have never met before. You have never met before. And find out something about them. Find out what brings them here. Find out who they are. It is. It's reborn, Jonathan. It is. Okay, thanks everyone. Please have a seat. Thank you. Have a seat. Here we are, connecting the connectors. Welcome in. If you've just joined us, we've got a lot to get through. So we're going to ask ourselves in this session a whole series of questions on this theme of connecting the connectors. Why is it valuable and interesting to connect entrepreneurial ecosystems? And we'll remind ourselves of that. And what gets in the way? What problems have you stumbled across, had to encounter, and how have you stepped up to those and solved those? And then if we're putting on our imagination hats, what would a future ecosystem connect, and more on that shortly, look like? What would a dream vision look like to see entrepreneurial ecosystems around the world seamlessly connecting with each other? And could those entrepreneurs, could the supporters of those entrepreneurs be forging a new kind of trust building? Well, that is the teaser with which to introduce a very special guest. Needs zero introduction. He, of course, is the president of the Global Entrepreneurship Network. He absolutely got the whole thing started. Please give it up for Mr. Jonathan Ortmans.
Oh, great. All right. So, I think it's on. All right, wonderful. I only have one deck this Congress. So I wanted to play something today in a minute that I think will be important. So in about an hour, I'm going to give a formal opening address, and we'll do the usual stuff. I hope you all agree that it's been much more fun to open a conference by having all these conversations, yeah? All right, great. Thank God for that, because we haven't done it before. We wanted to tell you. It was Dave's idea. We had to go all the way to New Zealand to get told, you know what, you've got to have an unconference before you have a conference. Now, the world is in a little bit of friction right now, as we well know, geopolitical friction. I'm not going to get into immigration or tariffs or whatever. But the important part is that at Gen over the last 15 years, we've built trust because we did this event in very controversial places. We were in Moscow 7 days after they invaded the Crimea. We're in Medellin, Colombia, when we bring the rebels together with the government to try to come to a peace accord. And everywhere we go, we have had representatives from countries whose leaders sometimes don't talk to each other. In fact, when I go to the State Department, often people will stop me and say, please do what you're doing because we can't do anything. We've had to turn out the lights in that country, so thank God you're there trying to make sure we're taking a long-term view. We have a very long-term view, so we look at all the things going on right now as just being, this is just temporary. But we believe that entrepreneurs are the new diplomats. And the entrepreneurial ecosystem, and in particular the global entrepreneurial ecosystem, needs to be even more powerful in its role of boldly, hence the bold change the world, the theme of our event, boldly leading the world in ensuring we retain that trust, we build additional trust, and we believe that entrepreneurs are the right people to do it. I'll talk a little bit more this afternoon about why. Factors you already know about. They love operating in these very, very disruptive times. They're fine with uncertainty. In fact, when you shake up the rules, entrepreneurs go, oh, great, someone's changed all the rules. Now I can try to recompute another solution. Okay. So the point is, what we're trying to do at Gen is get your advice today. So I hate to say it, but you are actually a huge focus group, and Ollie is going to really help us get some thoughts at it. And by the way, 3 cheers for Ollie, please, everybody. It was his inspiration that helped us create Global Entrepreneurship Week. He created everything called Speed Network, the Globe, Make It with a Tenner. We built it out of England. The communities that celebrated Global Entrepreneurship Week built Gen from the bottom up. So we're super grateful to you, Ollie. You are as much a co-founder as I am of this. I'm so happy you're here. I want to just say, though, we think it's extraordinarily important that we find a way to make sure that we understand why and how and what the barriers are, as Ollie said, that you would like to connect with ecosystems outside of your own markets. Is it because you want to help your entrepreneurs break into new markets? Is it because you want ideas about how someone did an accelerator program that worked? Is it that you just want to understand how people are approaching the other problems that you've got in a very, very different way? So I think it's extremely important to make sure that we've understood that. And I want to just sort of put this down. We've built a couple of tools, online platform. They're under this notion of Gen Connect. We are both connecting mentors with founders. We are connecting founders with investors. We are connecting investors with all of the above. But this is perhaps the most important one. We're also connecting speakers. If any of you love to be speakers, on your profile, for which you all have one or else you wouldn't get into this room, you can go in and sign up for any of these programs, okay? They're all free. You can sign up for those programs and you can say, you know what, I wouldn't mind receiving invitations to go and speak in another part of the world about what I do and my story. I'd love to go and do that. If you want to do that, volunteer. Sign up on the Speakers Bureau. The same's true if you're looking for a speaker. Use this. I'm looking for someone that comes from another part of the world. Come to my event. All free. We don't charge anything on this. It's just a way that we are connecting people across the world. But it's the one before that I want to really emphasize. It's the ecosystem connect that we're going to talk about today. How do we make sure that your communities can connect with each other? You are the connectors of your own ecosystem, and as Ali said, how do we connect the connectors? And our intent is, and I think I've got the wrong deck actually, so maybe not, that's good. There's one with a nice big slide that shows you all connecting, but don't worry about it. We're good. So our intent is to see extraordinary connectivity between your ecosystems. And I just want to stress one important point, and that is that even just the data alone, let alone the value proposition of you guys being the new diplomats, the value proposition is shown that every single year we publish the Global Startup Ecosystem Report with our partner Startup Genome. It has shown that there are exponentially more startups coming out of those ecosystems that have a greater degree of connectivity with other ecosystems. So I'm just going to say the data is there. It's rather like people used to tell me, why are you guys so focused on inclusion and reaching communities that are left out? And I said, well, look, I've got a lot of social impact reasons I want to do that, and moral reasons why I want to do that, but I can tell you, I'm an economist, by the way, and one of the first lessons we learned in economics was economies suffer when you leave people out. So I'm just saying for all of these things, there's hard data that shows it. So we need to see our ecosystems coming together as one global entrepreneurial ecosystem. And I can tell you many stories about this, but trust me, you are much more powerful as a global ecosystem of builders, creators, than any of the governments that you have overseeing your lives. And so we believe that you can be very influential in retaining the things that we treasure and trust in the world, namely each other. And so I think it's extremely important that we look at this. So Ollie, that's the spirit around what we're trying to do. We've got plenty of tools, but let's not get the practical tools ahead of what we're trying to do. What we really want to know from you is that if you were going to connect with other ecosystems around the world, why? What do you want to do? What's your honest motivation? And you don't just have to give me a public reason why. Give me a bottom line reason why. Like, why would you spend time and money doing it as well? Okay? Try to really help us understand this, because we want to build the infrastructure that makes it super easy for you to do that, makes it easy for you. I don't care if you're from, if you're from Gary, Indiana, okay? Or if you're from Surabaya in Indonesia. I want to know that if you think you've got something in common with each other and you want to connect, you can connect. That's our mission. Ollie, thanks for having me. Lots of exciting stuff this week. We can continue the conversation one-on-one. I'm going to be around the village often, so if you haven't met me, please come up and say hello. I've seen many familiar faces, but there's one or two I haven't. By the way, I'm not allowed to really do this, but I'm going to do this in front of this group. For the first time, I brought a member of my family to one of these GECs. Teddy, will you stand up for a minute? I just want to say thanks for coming, Teddy. I said to Teddy, I know you guys have no idea what I do when I go to work, and I don't know what you guys do. So I said, well, you should probably come. Come and see what we're trying to build here. So he's given us tons of ideas from a new generation. So fantastic. Thank you all very much indeed. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you very much. And by the way, welcome, Teddy. If anyone's spent more than 5 minutes with Teddy, you'll know why I think that we're going to be submitting our resumes to Teddy in a few years. So, Teddy, I'm at the front of the queue. I met you first. Right. So there's a quote that no conference is allowed to take place without, which is about the future already being here. It's just unevenly distributed, right? That's where you get the bingo card for, right? So this is already happening. We are already connecting ecosystems. But how? If I was to ask you, not on the mic, but at your table now, to share a story of how entrepreneurial ecosystems have forged connections, maybe where governments can't or struggle, would you raise your hand if you think you might have a snippet of a story to share on that theme? How entrepreneurial... Yeah, put your hands up, put your hands up. Who's got a story to share on that? I'm not going to come to you with a mic, don't worry. But who would have a story to tell about how that's happening? Raise your hand. This is helpful. Okay. Well, on that theme, why don't we just reflect on that question now? Let's see it up on the stage if we can go back to that first deck that I was sharing. Here's the question. If we just go to our next slide. Here's a question. Next one. There we go. How have you seen entrepreneurial ecosystems bridging divides? How have you seen that in practice? And I want you to discuss that, please, on your tables, not as one table group. That will be too slow, probably too noisy. Maybe just in twos or threes. How have you seen that happening? Okay, so this could be missions from one country to another. It could be a group of ecosystem builders like yourselves meeting your peers in a different part of the country, in a different continent completely. How have you seen this in action, and what's been the essence of it? So let's just reassure ourselves that this is already happening. We just need to level it up, okay? On your tables, let's take 5 minutes to just share the best snippets of excellence and what you've seen. Okay, everybody, my apologies to those who I'm interrupting. Thank you. Hopefully, we already feel that we're learning from each other. I can absolutely sense we're sharing some very good insights. Thank you. Let's have some points of light. Who can share something they've either shared or that they've heard, which they've thought, this is interesting. This is an interesting example. Thank you. There's an offer right in the middle there, but other hands as well. Feel free to say who you are, where you're from, but you don't have to. Welcome, John.
Yeah, hi there, John from the UK. We talked it sort of philosophically, and my background originally is automotive consultancy and lean, and people familiar with Kaizen and Japanese thinking, incremental change. The way I look at it is that with ecosystems and all these people, we're talking about small things here, but the connectivity, lots and lots of incremental change can have a massive effect. You know, one conversation between one with 1 million people is 1 million conversations that are going to make a difference, and you're going to get exponential change.
Yeah. And isn't it interesting how actually having those boots on the ground at a certain moment can give you that experience that could be a tiny clue that changes your way of thinking about something. What other stories, what other examples do we have? Let's go next door here.
Hi, my name is Viviana. I'm from Bolivia. I shared my story. I started the first accelerator program in Bolivia 7 years ago. I bring experts from 10 countries, from 10 different countries. I lived in 6 of them. So basically, I feel I am a connector and I am ambassador. But the example I want to give you is the example that I lived for the past 7 years in my country. We have a left government, which means that every project that's for the bottom of the pyramid will get funded, but everything that's for the missing middle won't. Even the international cooperation will be strictly assigned projects or have to manipulate the projects in order to be applied to the bottom of the pyramids. We work with entrepreneurs, people that go to college, that are educated, that can actually start startups or ventures. So by the 3rd year of graduating the accelerator program, we found out there were very few women graduating, and we wanted to understand why. So we made an assessment of 18 women that had graduated from our program. From that assessment, we did a pilot program. And from that pilot program, we grew to 100 women from 3 cities. We made an educational program based on the profile of the women, not for the startup. These are women that start their companies because of their know-how. For example, if a veterinarian that puts a vet office, right? This year, we had 950 applications nationally. And it's grown to one of the biggest programs for women that are professionals in Bolivia. And we still are not funded by the government or any international organization, everything by the private sector.
Amazing, thank you. And now please do keep the mic because I've got questions. Okay. So when you've hosted delegations,
yes,
have they tended to be one from one nation at a time or combined?
Oh no, we bring experts from different countries. They have to have they have to be specialized on the subject that we're looking for. They have to have coaching training, and they have to have experience in the corporate and in the startup scenarios.
And these are visitors who are guests who will embark on the program, or are they to learn more broadly?
They do mentoring, one-on-one mentoring, and master classes in Bolivia.
So the benefit to you is clear because they're adding value to,
of course,
your program members.
Yes, of course. An international review, but that coaching, profound expertise is very, very, very much appreciated. And all of them had never been to Bolivia before.
Really interesting. Okay, and if you were explaining to the president why this was and they should be funding this, what would you say was the big value add to Bolivia?
I would have to have not only one meeting. I would have to sit him down and preach. I don't think they want to see it. That's the problem. Oh. So we're hoping that that's going to change with elections this year. We're going to be executing that diplomatic power for sure.
Okay, so either side of that, thank you. Round of applause. A really generous contribution. Thank you. So on either side of that, if we just stay with that for a moment, has anybody had an example where, again, the leadership in government really don't get it in terms of bringing those ecosystem connectors, or the flip side, which is like our leadership are all behind it, and here's how we got them on board, or here's how we kept them on board. Let's have an offer over here. Thank you, that's kind. And others too, please.
Yeah, hi, my name is Miriam Lazarte. I'm the CEO of Global Startups. I work from Toronto in Canada, and I have to say Canada has been always a very open arm country for, immigrants and all that. But when it comes in terms of government actually supporting international startups, coming to the country, funding those type of programs hasn't been per se, the goal from the government. It took us 6 to 7 years to actually prove a record that, bringing companies from different parts of the world, especially from emerging markets, will contribute to the tech startup ecosystem in our home city. And in that way, proving with data and all that, we got the first funding from the government for programs that were dedicated for international startups. And at that time, we still are a nonprofit organization, but at that time, the fund was for $3.2 million to help us, grow the programs and make it stronger. So, but it was, a work of 6 years trying to convince the government that, this is actually something good for the market. They wanted to see diversity and all that, but it took a while to get there.
And just briefly on that, thank you. So regardless of who's funding it, who are the visitors themselves? What does the delegation look like?
They were international startups from different emerging markets.
Right. So startup, okay. Other experiences either with startups, but also particularly what we're also thinking about is ecosystem builders visiting other ecosystems to learn. How does this place tick? What's the secret sauce? Let's study each other's ecosystems. Reflections on that and other things. Yes, over here, and then around as well. Please, thank you. Gentleman in the, what could be a blue shirt, depending on the light. It wasn't this morning, was it?
A little bit. Yeah, so hi everyone, my name is Rabi Aziud. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Hasub. Hasub means computer in Arabic, it's an Arabic word. And I'm coming from, I'm representing the Palestinian community inside Israel. So we are 20% of the population in Israel. And I wanted to speak also about the government and how things, we started as a grassroots movement 11 years ago, and we worked very, very hard without any government support for almost 9 years. I have to say that we also raised money from private donors to build our first innovation center. It was a lot of private donors who came in and built the first innovation center for the Arab society, Palestinian society, and then the government came in. And speaking of, but we still have a very long way to go. So just to give some numbers, in Israel, the tech industry is the leading tech economic engine, but the Arabs in it are just 2%. The Palestinians are just 2% in this. And learning from other ecosystems, just last year, we brought a group of 10 startups to Boston to collaborate. We collaborated with MIT Sandbox, and this was an amazing experience to come here to the US and to have this experience learning from the best. So yeah.
And let's sort of name and fame who facilitated that Boston experience. Can you remember?
Yeah, definitely. So we worked. I met with the director, Jinana Bunadi. She's the director of the Sandbox program, and then we went and got the funding for the program from USAID, which doesn't exist anymore. So that's also a huge problem.
Yeah, no, totally understood. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Yes, let's have another example. Please have my mic.
So I'm going to brag on an ecosystem partner because it's not something that I've been a part of. But the University of Oklahoma does a professional fellows program. It's funded by the U.S. Department of State, Global Leaders Division. So I don't know if it's going to continue this year. I guess we'll have to find out. But they work with an entity on campus that is the Center for Creation of Economic Wealth, and they bring entrepreneurs and ecosystem builders from Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. And so the reason I know about the program is what they then will do is provide opportunities throughout all of Oklahoma for the fellows to become a part of the ecosystem. And so I've been able to meet founders who are just getting started on something they've built. I've met founders who are in maybe India starting venture capital in Africa. And so they're coming to learn from us, and then we get to learn from them. And then many of them then go to DC for a week. So I think they're here for like about maybe in the United States for about 6 weeks. And then 1 or 2 of those weeks they're in DC. I've also been able to go to other conferences and meet other fellows that are part of these programs. And so one of the cool things that it's turned into is some of the entrepreneurs are focused on clothing. And here in the United States, we know if we want to manufacture clothing, it's not as inexpensive and easy as we all think it should be. And so we've been able to make some connections with some of those fellows with local businesses to figure out, can they create their own method of supplying each other?
Thank you, Kristen. Thank you very much. Superb. So just to finish off on this short chapter, what if we had just been joined by some huge skeptics? If they say, look, in principle, very interesting, connecting ecosystems, ecosystem tourism, is that what you're calling it now? In practice, almost impossible, don't really see the benefit. Who would speak out against that skeptic? Who would say, look, I can tell you firsthand how this visit to this other market or ecosystem fundamentally helped us or changed how we operate? Who would speak against it? And frankly, if we haven't got that, so I won't come back to you for now, but I will come over to you. What would you say, sir?
Richard Milinchik from Bloomington. I would say that just introducing people to others has helped move their cause forward. And so forgetting that this connector network for this purpose, you've been connected in many ways throughout your career. So let's talk about how you've benefited through these connections first, and then you can take it into an example of how I've connected somebody else as well. And so generally, a lot of people don't see themselves in the problem, and starting with that would be where I would go.
Love that. So would anyone give a first-hand example of how a visit, an immersive experience has really changed the trajectory of what you're doing? Would anyone give a short testimony on that? Just 1 and 2, if that's right, just here and then in the corner. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I am from Colombia, in the middle of the coffee region, and we had no angel investors or any kind of private investor. So I went to UK and basically was not going there, but seeing other people from Colombia starting with us how to develop a financial ecosystem. Of course, huge difference between London and Colombia, but that inspired me to create now the first syndicate of private investors in the region. So it's like the first time we have private investors in that area, because usually private investment is in Bogotá and Medellin, and we are a small size city.
Well, congratulations on that. How did you facilitate that? Did you work with someone to do that? Because it's easier said than done.
Definitely. So I've been working with, I am the director of a program that fosters economic development in my city, that it's called Manizales. And so I had that obligation to develop the financial ecosystem. So I hired someone that did it for Cali, that we met in UK. And he said, Marce, we're doing this in Cali. Come and see how we do it. And then we do it together in Manizales. So it's like the addition of many connections that at the end end up in a good result.
And on the UK side, obviously I'm slightly interested in this, but who facilitated it? Because you can't just rock up, you need help, right? Maybe.
Definitely. So it was like a scholarship from Impulsa Colombia in the King's University. I don't
Okay,
remember.
maybe King's
Yes, a
College.
very
Yeah,
small
okay.
training.
Yeah, but it worked. So thank you. Brilliant. By the way, quick shout out for London and Partners, London's sort of business promotion agency. Very helpful. Door is open. Guest over here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Shanna Greathouse from Cleveland, Ohio, a part of Ohio Startup Network, one of the co-founders of the nonprofit that connects the Ohio ecosystem together and then amplifies that story to outside, because we have limited capital in Cleveland, especially in the pre-seed area. So very, very jealous of the Indiana ecosystem and hearing you write $20,000 checks, which is unheard of in Cleveland or Ohio. So a big thing for us, me as a startup founder for my own tech startup, went to Dubai for the International Property Summit and was able to connect with industry and actually bring that back to Ohio, which has been transformational in getting more industry conversations with startups, which again isn't something as commonplace, but we're really working on, and having that model that Dubai, a place as advanced as that, is pioneering, that really gives us a good North Star.
Really interesting. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. And by the way, on the flip side, I was hosting a delegation from Dubai the year before last, who instead of doing ministerial bilaterals, chose to do more of an ecosystem connect to get out into the grassroots and meet much more informally a whole series of organizations, so that exchange thought definitely in the mix. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a section on reimagining, if you like, ecosystem connect. But although we're very glass half full here at Gen, I don't want to avoid talking about what gets in the way and the challenges and the problems. So for this, on your tables, in fact, we'll stand up in a sec, but you can be as blunt as you like. You can be, this isn't recorded, this isn't on mic, but if we're in the business, if we want to be in the business of connecting entrepreneurial ecosystems around the world, what gets in the way? So if we see our next slide up here, please. Where is trust missing? What gets in the way? Which systems are under-leveraged? Where is trust most fragile? So, and by the way, this is all a way of asking, in your experience, why is this difficult? And you can be as blunt and as pithy as you like. I will want volunteers afterwards, but on our tables. So let's stand up and maybe pair off with someone we haven't yet met, and we'll get that fresh energy going through the room in terms of saying, okay, it's all good in principle, it is exciting, however. What comes after the word however? So let's all stand up and let's spend like 5 minutes now. If we just stand up, spend 5 minutes just getting real about what the barriers are in practice. Where are we failing to connect? Doesn't have to be. It could be city to city. I'm curious to hear yours. Where are we failing? I'd like to see more entrepreneurs. How are you? Okay, everybody. Welcome back. Let's have a very brief. We'll have a very brief recap. All right, I'm super keen to launch into getting a little more creative. So I'm going to say thank you in advance to anyone, because this will be on the mic. Anyone bold enough to be pithy and share what gets in the way, what stops. Hands up. This is generous. Thank you. I'm weaving my way. Let's go.
Hi, everyone. I'm Natalie from the African Leadership Academy that's based in South Africa. We work with very young entrepreneurs across the African continent. And what we've realized, a lot of the challenges are, or one of the challenges are, when it comes to connecting each other within the ecosystem, it's mostly around no one has time or effort or capacity. A lot of the time, organizations are focused on their own goals and achieving their own business models or their own focuses. And it's hard convening a lot of ecosystem players who have different goals, desires. It's like group work, and it's always hard bringing people to do group work. And that's always a challenge when it comes to that.
And have you got have you got a piece of advice on how you unlock the time and commitment of very busy people to take part in these interventions? What's the biggest thing you've learned?
So funny thing you ask, we actually hold a summit every year where we bring in different ecosystem players in the entrepreneurial education space. And you just have to suck it up and, commit to doing it and making time for it. If you're actually passionate about making those connections happen, even in those tight budgets and tight time frames, you need to still pull it off, because at the end of the day, it helps and impacts the entrepreneurial community.
100%. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you. Let's take the offer from back here. Thank you. And then we'll go into the middle. We'll just get 3 more briefly. Yes.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Lamar Holliday, based here in Indianapolis, Indiana. So I want to welcome you all here to the Circle City. One of the things I think, as a person that is in public relations and communications, I think where we're starting to see where trust is starting to become more fragile is there's AI. So one thing about the ecosystem, we want authentic connections, right? So we want to be meeting people and talking with people. But now that we have AI, you're starting to see a lot of more entrepreneurs use that, which is great, right? It can definitely help businesses for their mission and their causes. But I think we're starting to lose that authentic connection in the ecosystem. So want to keep that in mind as we're thinking about ecosystems and kind of where that trust is falling, that we don't want to lose out on the authenticity and meeting in person.
Really important. Thank you.
Pleasure.
We could pull on any of these threads, but we're going to keep going around. Was there still an offer in the middle, or was it? Oh, you've sat down over there. And let's just do 1 and then 2 in front of you. Great.
Hi, my name's Daniel Bedingfield.
Daniel Bedingfield. Unbelievable scenes. Let's hear it for Daniel Bedingfield's here. God, that gave you a fright. Very nice to see you.
Excited to meet you. My sister's Natasha Bedingfield. We're multi-platinum pop stars in the UK. What's happened in the last 20 years is the gatekeepers, the record companies, have had a stranglehold on the music. And you can attest, music has been absolute utter in the last 20 years in the UK. There's a few people that have made excellent stuff. But there's been gatekept by people, things like American Idol and X Factor on this side and record companies on this side. There's insane amounts of brilliant talent in the UK. but they never get a chance. You never get to hear them on radio. They never get promoted. Instead, we're hearing people like Will Young and Gareth Gates still singing everywhere. And we think Adele is one of the best singers. She's not remotely anywhere close to a good singer in the UK. She just happened to be let through in this one channel. So I've just been given a record company in San Francisco, Empire Records. I've given me my own record company. In the last 3 weeks, I brought together all my 50 friends, record producers, writers, singers, and we're building kind of like an army, a hit army, and we're going to be releasing good music and highlighting all the young artists and all the old school artists. We have to go round the houses. So the trust part of this is that we can't trust our music industry. They are mob mentality. I met one intelligent person in my life, Lucian Grange, in the whole record industry. These people are desperately clinging on to their terrible rubbish jobs. They don't know what a hit is. So we have to go around the houses.
A Brit. A great Brit.
I'm actually a Kiwi, but I grew up in
no,
London.
I'm talking about Lucian, though.
Oh, he's lovely, though.
Yeah, there you go. So what's the new one going to be called, Daniel?
It's called Future of Music.
Future of Daniel Bedingfield, everybody. There you go. Also, lovely to mention Natasha, but also your wonderful mum, Molly. Yes, what a legend she is. There you go. Now then, welcome.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. My name is Maggie Betts, and I work at Purdue University. I think the answer to which systems are under-leveraged are academia and students. I specifically, work with college students, and they are very eager to gain expert experience, and they are very hard workers. They have lots of really unique ideas where they haven't been boxed in yet to corporate think. And so I just really encourage you to think about like what academic institutions are near you and how you can connect through a capstone or other class-based projects.
Love that. Now, please, let's pass the mic to your neighbors here.
Thank you. My name is Amy Lisek. I'm the founder of a 501c3 nonprofit charity called Grace and Love Inc. Out of Tinley Park, Illinois, south side of Chicago. We're, thank you. Right now, we're 100% volunteer run. We're a startup, just 5 years now. Founded 2020, the height of the COVID pandemic. The mental health crisis was at an all-time high. So we send free encouraging care packages from our website to people going through difficult times, and then also offer a free blogging platform to kind of bridge the gap, to try to get more an online presence to help people that may be struggling. And as a startup, I think the main barrier we face is trying to secure grants, because most of the grants are going to either a specific population that is served or an area, or a lot of times they may go to the same nonprofit year after year. And so I was just chatting, we were sharing that it's been a highlight this year that we were able to find another nonprofit to partner with called Good 360. And what they do is they connect nonprofits with larger companies that are donating. So thank God it's been a godsend, because this year we were able to partner with Ulta, a large makeup company, and L'Oreal. And so, as a small nonprofit, that would have been unheard of to, usually you email them and you get no response, or, it's just the nature of they get so many requests. Yes. So that was so great that they were able to connect us. Like I said, the nonprofit is Good 360. And so they connected us. We went to the warehouse, and so they donated a very generous amount of makeup for our free care packages that we send. So
fantastic. Good to hear makeup and
positive.
Foundation in the same phrase. Good. There we go. Not a cover-up. Very good. Thank you. And your colleague here, there you go. I'm here all week, quite literally, actually.
We have the best table. Let me echo what Margaret said about students, that I started out in grad school doing entrepreneurship, and I had to teach the class, and they said, well, the dean says you have to do the Small Business Institute, or the USSBA would pay a piddling amount of money for every project the students did for a small business. And the Ohio State University is very large. We had more projects than they could pay us, so the students would actually bring projects. And suddenly it was nonprofits, economic. They designed the ARCS incubator in Columbus. And it just, students are our secret weapon in so many ways, even down to the high school, that they're out there in the ecosystem and we're not even telling them to do it. They are the best boundary spanners universities have. And I mean, and if any of you care, it's going to be an emerging hot research topic. People are finding out everywhere the students are doing amazing things in the ecosystem.
And it's such a rich fact. If you think about, for international students. Imagine being able to leverage the social
Absolutely.
capital of international students to create a trade buddy intern system with their hometown.
You know, we had South American students in my business capstone class in Boise, and the students brought us projects from our Hispanic chamber. And so they translated the directory of resources into Spanish. It was fun. The students were better at Spanish than some of my Idaho neighbors. But it is just amazing. And a lot of them, I mean, I don't want to say they'll do stuff for an A they'd never do for money, but they love going out and doing absolutely great things. And there's probably a reason why entrepreneurship educators are better than the other business school guys.
Thank you. Not that we're biased around here, but thank you very much. Okay, so what we're going to do is we've got 20 minutes still together, and then we'll have a gap before our plenary session. So now we'll put on our creative thinking hats. I've got some prompts if they're useful, but I don't think you need them. If we were to take an ecosystem connect to the next level, what does it look like? What does the Rolls Royce look like? What would you like to see? What would it look like in practice? So I've got some prompts which we can see, but I don't really think you're going to need them if we could see them anyway. I mean, maybe I've over-egged the don't need to see them bit, but I think if we... Oh, we really don't need to see them. Okay, no, next one. What? No, here we go. Okay, so you might want to focus on these sorts of things, but you don't have to. You don't have to, okay? But the things to come back to is, who is this actually connecting? How does it build trust? What would the features be in practice? What would you like to see? You can help us to imagine what ecosystem connect looks like. You're doing lots of this already. So I'm going to ask you to be creative. I would advise against a whole table conversation, forgive me. But I think groups of 2, groups of 3 may be better, but it's completely up to you. And we'll spend about 10 minutes doing this. But let's get creative, because I want to get some of our best ideas onto paper, onto the board, and out into the room. So if you were rethinking the next level of Ecosystem Connect, what does amazing look like? What would you like to see? What would help you? And what do you think would help the global entrepreneurial ecosystem? So you might want to focus on one of those bullets just as an example, but you don't have to. Okay? So let's spend 10 minutes. Yeah, and we'll get us up on the boards in the feedback. That's great. All right, let's take 10 minutes with our neighbors in groups 2, 3, and we'll be back in 10.
Oh, thank you. I need to upgrade. Yeah, I wear glasses all the time, so I might as well wear something interesting.
I totally agree. Right, let's get some. All right, everybody. I know I'm interrupting you, but for the final time, here we are. So, quick question. Has anyone ever been told? Oh, you've got nice handwriting. Has anyone ever been told that? Yes. Who's that? Have you been told that, Teddy? Have you, Teddy? Right. Well, Teddy, you're my volunteer. Let's have a round of applause for Teddy. Stand up. Right, Teddy, make your way to one of the boards. And you, sir, with the wonderful glasses as well, which I've been admiring. Daniel, if you wouldn't mind as well. Come on, and on a serious note, a couple of volunteers, please, on this side. That's kind. Any other volunteers? We've had one from your table. One more volunteer over to another board. Right. We've asked you, everybody. Oh, no, go, fine, feel free. Oh, you're going over this side as well? All right, Charlton. I know you can go over that side. That's cool. Right. So, here we go. We have 10 action-packed minutes here. We've asked you to imagine the future of Ecosystem Connect. Open question, what do you see? Who will get the ball rolling? What do you see? I want you to paint us pictures. Thank you. We'll rush these mics around. Tell us what you see, and we can make notes as we go. You might take the same notes in different forms. That's fine. Please.
So I'll give you 5 phrases, okay?
Let's do it.
And I'll explain. Go to basics. What that means is we need to learn how to network. Like I've been using the app and sending messages to everybody, but only 2 of the 10 emails that I've sent or this messages got a response.
This is outrageous.
So
What's your name?
We are not networking the way we should be.
We need to use the tools we've been given.
Of course, we use the tools that we were giving. So go back to basics. Let's relearn how to network.
Right.
Well, that's one thing. Design. In order to build trust, sometimes in our projects, we would invite mentors on an on-running program. But if we invite them before, so they can be in the design table and feel part of it.
Love that, yes.
The same thing with the GEM team. If the GEM team would be part of the design process of a program in our countries, I think that will build a lot more trust.
Superb.
So design. Pilot. Don't try to get the big program running from the get-go. Pilot small. Be present to mentor. So, for example, bring people that you've met to your country to mentor, understand, and get the ambiance of the place, and then they can react on what value or what added value they can give. So, be present in the place. So that means maybe having a budget for transferring people.
Yeah, and showing up.
Showing up, and then have teams ready, which means there are many universities that would have teams that combine a technical knowledge and experience that we could take to different countries, but they're already we could deploy, but they're already in different universities that we already have in place, and we know that that's their capstone project or whatever. Yeah.
Special forces.
So go to basics, design, pilot, be present to mentor, and have teams ready.
Right, well, no pressure, everyone else, but that was an absolute masterclass. Let's have a round of applause. Thank you. Right, let's have some more visions. What do you see in a future of Ecosystem Connect? Who will share? We've all been intimidated now. Our colleague and friend from New Zealand, sir. Let's get a mic. Here we go. Welcome, and additions from around the room, please, in our next session. Welcome.
So networking is really important. Agreed. And so one thing that Gen Connect could do is something that we've been doing in New Zealand really successfully over the last few years. We have a monthly Zoom call, and for the first 15 minutes of that Gen Network Zoom call, we do random mixers with people on that call. And so if there are 50 people on the call, we'll set up 25 different breakout rooms, and we'll just randomly mix people up, and so that they can get to know each other a bit better. And it's sort of a little bit of forced networking, but there's a lot of organic material that takes place, and many, many really beautiful relationships have started from this random networking. So that's one super easy thing that Gen Connect could do.
Does anyone remember chat roulette? Do you remember back in the day? I'm not sure it was entirely appropriate all the time, but it does remind me a bit of that. Any other visions, any other insights? Is that an offer you're thinking back there? So I've sold castles at auction for less than that, you see. You've got to be careful. We'll come to you, and then maybe you, sir.
Networking in public, so amplifying each other's stories. LinkedIn has become a really, really powerful tool for collaboration, and a simple like and share and repost goes a really long way.
Here. I'm not shaming here, but will you raise your hand if you have so far posted about this Congress, that you're going to be here or that you are here? Hands up. You're legends. Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Great point. And I will come over to you, sir, especially as you've posted.
Thank you. So, as someone like, we are doing all of this, and I think the secret recipe of doing like first to build the platform, and then to try and just to bring these people to the platform, and where we are succeeding is to get people belonging to what we are doing. So the sense of community, when people have the sense of community getting together, they come, they help, they're paying it forward, and it works. So I think it's great to be, when rethinking it, we should have it more.
And this is excellent. On your table, was there, in terms of a service that you'd love to see, almost like an extension of Ecosystem Connect? Where would you like it to go?
Okay, so to be more global, and that's why I'm here today. That's why I came here, because entrepreneurship, and I think we all agree on that. You can't do entrepreneurship and stay local. It's a global market. It's a global connection. Each one who has a startup want to connect the globe, want to expand, and that's the power of it. If we can, through Jen, connect and have something that where we can help our startups, the startups that we work with, expand to the markets they want to expand to, this would be massive.
Yeah, but it's funny, isn't it? So many of these interventions are very bilateral. It's A meets B, whereas it could be so multi, couldn't it? If we think about it, we could have a whole roadshow on this. Please, and then I will come back to you. I've seen you there. Thank you. Forgive me.
Just a short one. I think what's really important as well too, and we had a conversation in some of the kind of subgroups, is really making sure that you have the decision makers there and hearing kind of the conversations that are going on. Because I think a lot of times, just based on my experience, I'm in the various organizations, and the decision makers or internal stakeholders, they really don't understand the need of the entrepreneurs or that ecosystem. So I think a lot of times they're just not really a part of the conversations that we're having on what the needs and the resources are.
It's such a conundrum. I mean, we're so proud. We have London Tech Week in the UK next week with delegations from all over the world. And yet, we have struggled, I'll get told off for saying this on the mic, to get ministerial engagement at global level at some of the most important events in the world of entrepreneurship. So we are learning. Forgive me.
But you guys do a great job, because I actually worked for UK Trade and Investment, and the UK has done a great job in terms of moving kind of the entrepreneurship ecosystem there. Yeah.
That's generous. Thank you. Forgive me, I said I'd come back to you. Yes, welcome.
Linda Smith. I'm with the Global Business Angel Network. So I and my colleagues, one represents Asia, one represents Africa, one represents Latin America, one represents Europe, and I happen to represent North America. If I'm envisioning a new ecosystem, I would first love to see a worldwide platform that has every entrepreneur, every founder, every support organization, incubator, accelerator, all there. I'd love to see a simple single currency so we could all deal with each other across boundaries and across inflation and financial challenges. I'd love to see a single regulatory system so that we were all dealing with the same set of rules in terms of how to get approvals, how to get health care. You know, all of that would help us to be able to really exponentially accelerate innovation on a global level.
Thank you, Linda. Love the clarity of that thinking. Thank you. Let's have a couple more, and I'm coming back over here. And if you've got one more for us, then do raise your hand now. Thank you.
Awesome. I absolutely agree with Linda. I think having a platform that's easily accessible and easily usable for all the stakeholders to be there, ready, profiles, locations, expertise, all of that accessible to everyone will be great. And then we also then can move a step further from that and ask if they're like specific subject matter experts in different countries, locations, geographies, and they can then provide sort of like an entry package for different entrepreneurs or investors who will introduce them into that geography, into that location. That way it's easy to find. We can't always be meeting at the same place, always at the same time, but at least a database that has all that information and you can go plug in when you need someone to connect with in Latin America or Asia. For the entrepreneurs, it will be really helpful and impactful for ESOs and everyone else.
Totally agree. And back to that thought around user-centered design as well, to absolutely bake everybody into that process. Okay, we are reaching rapidly the end of our time together. I want to give you time before the plenary starts. It says at 3, it'll kick off formally at 3:15. Don't tell anyone I told you that. Now then, well, I say I can't promise 3:15, but I know it's not going to be at 3 on the dot. I'm going to make a suggestion. Sorry, you can tell I'm a shareholder in calm.com. Why don't we spend a minute in silence reflecting on what this session has made us think about and anything we've taken away from it. So no pairing, no interaction, just us for a minute, if that's okay. Thank you. Great. Thank you very much, everybody. 3 very brief things. Firstly, a massive thank you. Teddy Ortmans, you weren't joking. You have got fantastic handwriting. Thank you to our scribes. Round of applause for their work. They've helped us capture some good work there. Here's to connecting the connectors wherever they may be. So thank you for what you're doing on that. I'm not sure of how this now breaks out in terms of how we keep together as a breakout community of ourselves. But I will investigate that, because it seems to me that if we are invested in this ecosystem connect, we should all continue, back to your point about designing it together. That must be essential. So thank you, and we will be in touch with you all on that. Thank you very much. Our main plenary session starts obviously in the main plenary space. So as you leave the space, please, why not take up the opportunity to say hi to someone else and share what you got most from the session. Thank you very much. See you later. I'm Ollie Barrett. Until next time, goodbye.